It's Matt from The Morning After, excited to be joined on the phone by the legendary bassist for Quiet Riot, Rudy Sarzo. They are coming to Coleman. The Coleman Veterans Memorial United by Sacrifice concert is May 25th. Rudy, good morning. What's going on?
Good morning. I am blessed beyond words. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day, and we're excited to have Quiet Riot back in Coleman. First things first, though, I want to talk about just you coming back to Quiet Riot because it's been 4 years now since you rejoined Quiet Riot, a band that you had been a part of previously a few different times. Why was it important for you, after being away for nearly 20 years, to come back into the Quiet Riot fold and kind of help keep the band's legacy alive following the death of Frankie Banali?
Yeah, let's see. I first joined the band in 1978, and then it broke up when Randy Rhoads left to join Ozzy, and then I came back to play. Actually, when I did some of the recordings for the Mental Health record, I was still a member of Ozzy, and the band was named Dubrow, which is what, because the name Quiet Riot ceased to exist after Randy left, and then we picked it up for the Mental Health record. And then I left in 85, and that was the only time I really left the group. In the 2000s, let's say in 2003, I returned in 1997, and then in 2003, the band just broke up. It imploded. And that was actually the last time that I was in the group before I was asked by Frankie to return to the group. Right now, life is really a learning experience for me. It's a journey. One of the things that I learned this time around, being back with Quiet Riot, that I have a purpose, a higher purpose beyond just going on stage and rocking out, just like we all do it when we begin. But now, my purpose is to celebrate the legacy of the band that I've been a part of, starting in 1978, and also the memory of Frankie Banali, Kevin Dubrow, and Randy Rhoads. So every show is more special to me than ever before.
I was going to ask, do you feel, when you take the stage and you play these songs, I mean, Mental Health has just celebrated 40 years. When you play these songs, do you feel like Frankie? Do you feel like Kevin? Do you feel like Randy? Do you feel like those guys are there with you as you sort of celebrate this band?
Absolutely. I mean, how can I help not feeling it when every song, just about every song that we perform on the set list is something that I can look back and say, okay, this is how the song was written, where we were, that time and place that goes with every song. So I actually, when I hit the stage, it's 1978 for me, and beyond that, because that's when I first joined the band. And the true spirit of the group, the person the musician that really defined the origins of Quiet Riot was Randy Rhoads. And I got to play with him not only in Quiet Riot, but also with Ozzy Osbourne. So, I bring them all with me on stage. I bring Randy, I bring Kevin, I bring Frankie. By the time that I started playing in the Mental Health version of Quiet Riot, Frankie and I had a history that predated 10 years prior to that. We first met in 1972 on my birthday, and we started playing in 1972. So it wasn't until 1982 that I was actually in the studio recording one song originally, Thunderbird, as a tribute to a memory of Randy.
Joined on the phone by Rudy Sarzo, Quiet Riot is coming to Coleman for the United by Sacrifice concert on May 25th. And you coming back into the band and keeping that legacy alive, it wasn't just about that, because just a couple of years ago, Mental Health hit the 40th anniversary mark, and people, I don't know if they forget, but I don't know that they realize just how massive that record was when it was released. I mean, now we're talking 10 million copies worldwide. It was the first heavy metal album ever to hit number one. So, yeah, I'd say a 40-year celebration was necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And this year we're celebrating 42 years.
That's right.
Of the release. Yeah, we actually recorded the record like 6 months before. So we actually recorded in 1982. As a matter of fact, that week, I did the half of the Mental Health record, and then I went to New York City the following week to record Speak of the Devil live, which is the Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath re-recordings that we did with Tommy Aldridge and Brad Gillis.
When you look back on your career and all the bands you played with, you mentioned Ozzy and Randy, and obviously more recently you played with the Guess Who. The list goes on and on. You've shared the stage and shared the studio. with so many. Where does your time with Quiet Riot rank? You've sort of talked about, I've seen other interviews where you talk about like Quiet Riot feels like home to you. Is that still, is Quiet Riot sort of, that's the number one thing for you?
Yeah, Quiet Riot has always been my home. But and it has to do with the fact that I was there when Randy was basically unspoken leader of the band, because he led by example. You know, when I first joined Quiet Riot, it was the first band that I had ever been a part of that its sole purpose was to get a record deal and become professional musicians. Every other band that I had been in was just a top 40. Go to clubs, make some money, and get your chops together. And you know, yes, we did some originals here and there, but the purpose was to play for the sake of playing, you know, making music. With Quiet Riot, it was very focused. It was very songwriting, the direction of the band, all of that. Randy had 100% to do with that. So then, when I started playing with Randy in Ozzy, it was a whole new level of musical integrity. You know, if you look at the band, you know, when Randy was with us, you know, Ozzy, you know, the reason why Randy left Quiet Riot to join Ozzy, not only was it a great opportunity for him to start working with a bona fide legend, because Ozzy was already a legend at that time in 1981. Well, actually, he left in 1979. I joined in 1981. But also because there was no way at that time, when new wave and punk was leading the charge musically, especially in the Los Angeles scene, that we were going to get signed. There was no way. And at that moment, in 1979, everything really looked bleak for the musicians of our genre of music, you know, while Quiet Riot was playing. So it was basically like, you know, I got to do this because, and actually his mom had a lot to do with Randy's decision, because she told him, listen, if you don't take this opportunity, you might just never make it. So Randy listens to his mom and, you know, went over to play, you know, to work with Ozzy. And this is when Randy had the opportunity to go to the next level musically. You know, Randy asked Ozzy, what do you want me to write? And Ozzy just said, be yourself. And that's when Randy was able to truly dig into his classical music background, which he had before he started playing electric guitar. And that's where, you know, the music that you hear in the Blues of Oz and Diary of a Madman came from. Just Randy having the total creative freedom that Ozzy gave.
It's fun hearing you talk about Randy Rhoads and Randy leaving Quiet Riot to join Ozzy's band back in the 80s and early 80s. Had a huge impact on your life, because it led you to connect with Ozzy as well for a short stint, introduced you to Tommy Aldridge, and ended up leading you back to Quiet Riot. I mean, your life had the potential to be drastically different if it wasn't for Ozzy coming and grabbing Randy out of Quiet Riot and then Randy recommending you.
Absolutely. 1,000%. Yes.
And I know that coming up here in Birmingham, England, it was just announced recently that you're going to participate in this massive sort of, we'll call it a celebration, a going away party. It's Black Sabbath's final show. You're going to be a part of it. Your name on the poster with Sabbath, Geezer, and Iommi, and Ozzy, and Bill Ward, and you've got Pantera, and Metallica, and Slayer, and Rudy Sarzo's on there. I know you probably don't want to get too much into, you know, what your participation might be in that event just yet, but I assume it has something to do with your connection to just not only Ozzy, but also to Randy Rhoads.
Well, you know, yeah, and let's mention also that not only myself, but also J.K. Lee has been invited to participate, which is great because, you know, this will be a celebration of Ozzy's solo career also, not just Black Sabbath. And my contribution to a connection with that would be that as far as I see on the poster, I am the only member of the era of that band with Randy and Tommy Aldridge and Ozzy that I will be the representative of that. And to me, that is it's an honor beyond anything that I can describe. What an honor and what a blessing it is to be able to do that.
Can I ask, like, how do they approach you about that? Is there an email sent? Does somebody from Ozzy's camp reach out, say, hey, we're doing this thing, we want you to be a part of it? How does this all come together? Because this is, not only is it for charity, which is incredible, but it's a massive lineup of a who's who of everybody, basically.
Yes, and I know exactly the place and time when I got a text was in November, this past November, from Tom Morello. And he reaches out to me on behalf of Sharon and Ozzy to participate in this. And I just stood still. It was something, you open up a text, you don't expect anything like this, And of course, I immediately accepted, confirmed, my willing to be a part of this. And then just like a week before it was announced by, I believe there was a press conference with Sharon and Tony Iommi, that a week before, that's when I knew that this was going to really happen, because it wasn't announced, or everything was kept very, very quiet, from everybody involved. And, I've been sent a few songs so far that for me to play, but, there's a lot of moving parts to this massive event. And Tom Morello is taking care of the music director, especially for the band that's being put together from individuals who are participating, including myself and Jakey Lee. And there's a huge list on the poster. You can read it for yourself. And so, knowing that there's a lot of moving parts, I only know as much as it's been given to me, as far as the information, because I know that Tom is going to be going crazy putting this whole thing together. So I'm just going with the flow.
Joined by Rudy Sarzo, Quiet Riot will be in Coleman for the United by Sacrifice concert on May 25th. And after that, he's playing over in England for the Black Sabbath final show. You mentioned that, you get the text from Tom Morello and then it's sort of radio silence for a while. Did you, until it was officially announced, was there a part of you that thought like this might all be like just some big hoax?
Oh, hoax? Oh, no. I mean, when you have Sharon Ozzy and Tom Morello involved in something, it's never a hoax.
Yeah, no, you trust those guys, man. That's going to be, I know it's sold out in like less than 20 minutes, and it's, just an incredible show, and an incredible a show of support to see what Black Sabbath have meant to so many people, to be able to get the caliber of bands, the caliber of musicians to all go and play this show is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the way I look at it is the meeting of the tribes, of the heavy metal tribes, gathering to pay tribute to the architects of the music that we play. The people who invented it. And I don't know if you have noticed, but there's a lot of artists that lately have just been fading into, fading out. They're not, you don't even know whether they're retired or not, but they really are. And they're just not announcing it. And I think that, especially for a band like Black Sabbath that came in so strong into the pages of music history with what they created, their legacy, you can't just fade out. You got to throw the biggest event for many reasons. And for me personally, so I can be there to show how grateful I am to their music, and to specifically Sharon and Ozzy, how generous and kind they were with me when I was in the band, and to the memory of Randy Rhoads.
It's going to be a huge event. Fingers crossed for those of us that can't make it, that it gets live streamed so we can all watch it. And the good news for the people of Coleman and surrounding areas is that before you go across the pond for that show, you're going to be playing in Coleman, the Coleman Veterans Memorial United by Sacrifice concert. And I think the cool thing is Quiet Riot has played this show before back in 2019. You were not a part of the band then. So now you get to come in and see Coleman, which I imagine in your travels, you haven't made it to Coleman, Michigan yet. So we're excited to have you here coming up on May 25th, celebrating the work of Quiet Riot.
Well, I love Michigan. I played so many shows in Michigan. When we first started out, our booking agency was based out of Detroit, and we played Michigan more tn anywhere else. As a matter of fact, we started on New Year's Eve, 83 to 84. We started our Mental Health headlining tour at Cobo Hall. So it's like we always felt that Michigan was the home of Quiet Riot.
That's a full circle moment to kick off the tour there, and here we are 42 years later celebrating the 42nd now anniversary of Mental Health in Coleman at the Coleman Veterans Memorial United by Sacrifice concert. Rudy, man, you are a legend. I appreciate you taking a few minutes. I am so excited to see what happens with the Sabbath gig, and I cannot wait to have you here in a couple of months for the United by Sacrifice concert. Of course, tickets are on sale right now. ColemanVeteransMemorial.org. A chance to see Quiet Riot. You guys aren't playing as many shows as you used to, so people need to get out and see Quiet Riot coming up in May.
Thank you so much, Matt. Looking forward to seeing you there.